Have you ever found yourself replaying a conversation over and over again in your head? Society might tell you that's just anxiety, but what if I told you it's actually the sign of a rare gift? Today, we're going to flip the script and explore why this habit isn't a flaw at all, but the mark of a truly deep and analytical mind. Does this sound familiar? I mean, the conversation was hours ago, maybe even days ago, but for you, it's still playing on a loop. And you're not just remembering it, right? You're dissecting it, pulling it apart piece by piece, word by word. And if you do this, I'm willing to bet you've heard these phrases more times than you can even count. It can make you feel kind of isolated, like you're the only one who can't just move on. But here's the thing. Psychology offers a completely different take on this. Yeah, what most people write off as a flaw, anxiety, obsession, is actually seen by psychologists as a sign of some really rare and powerful gifts. Your mind isn't broken. It's just highly analytical, it's structured, and it's incredibly perceptive. This isn't just random worrying. It's a deep cognitive process hard at work. All right, so let's jump right in and look at the first piece of this puzzle, your amazing ability to see and feel what's happening in the world around you with a clarity that most people just miss. There's a name for this. It's called high social monitoring. Think of it like this. While most people hear the words someone is saying and just take them at face value, your brain is running like multiple layers of analysis at the same time. You're catching the tone, the specific word choices, the tiny little hesitations that give away what's really going on under the surface. And what's really fascinating, as you can see here, is just how uncommon this is. We're talking only about 15 to 20% of the population having this kind of heightened sensitivity. So if this is you, you're not just being observant, you are literally operating on a different level of social perception. So does this sound like you? It's that aha moment hours after a conversation when you suddenly realize what that little pause really meant. You're not making things up. You're picking up on social data that most people's brains don't even register. And it's not just about social cues. It's emotional ones too. This is called high emotional depth, and it's a trait that's linked to what we call being a highly sensitive person, or HSP. It just means you're wired to process emotions and sensory info much more deeply. You don't just hear the words, you feel the emotion behind them. And look, again, we see this is not the norm. It affects about 20% of people. For this group, the emotional weight of a conversation sticks around because your brains are literally built to process it more fully. This is why you can't just let it go. You're neurologically wired to feel things on a deeper level. Okay, let's move on. Let's see how this incredible perceptive ability plugs into an equally powerful analytical engine that's running inside your mind. You see, when you replay those conversations, you're not just stuck in the past. Your brain is doing something called predictive social modeling. It's sifting through past interactions to spot patterns and basically to prepare for what might happen next. These aren't just anxious thoughts spinning out of control. No way. These are your brain's predictive questions. You're running social simulations, trying to map everything out so you can navigate situations better in the future. You're not overthinking, you're strategic thinking. And this whole process also involves a really high level of self-reflection, which we call metacognitive awareness. It's the ability to think about your own thinking. You don't just analyze other people, you turn that powerful lens on yourself. Now, this is a really crucial point. This trait has two sides. On the one hand, its strength is this deep desire to learn, to grow, and to connect with people authentically. But its shadow side can be harsh self-judgment, where you just beat yourself up over every tiny little mistake. The real key here is to balance that powerful self-awareness with some self-compassion. But all of this, it leads to an even deeper, more important question. Why? Why is your brain wired to work this way in the first place? Well, the answer is often rooted in survival. Right, this intense need to analyze and predict social situations didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's almost always an adaptation, a skill your brain learned because it had to. Psychologists call this hypervigilance. It's a state where your nervous system is basically on high alert, constantly scanning for potential threats, even when you're perfectly safe. And let me be clear, this isn't a flaw. It is a brilliant survival mechanism your brain developed to protect you. And this breaks it down perfectly. Maybe you grew up in an environment that was unpredictable, where you had to carefully read a parent's mood to feel safe. Your brain learned that scanning social cues was absolutely essential. So that replay function, it became a tool to check for danger. And now that same program just continues to run in the background, like a default mode. And finally, none of this would even be possible without one more rare trait: an absolutely exceptional memory for spoken language. You don't just remember the gist of what was said, you remember the exact phrasing, the tone, the pauses. Your memory for conversations is just plain stronger than average. So when you put all of these different pieces together, a completely new picture starts to form. And it's not a picture of someone with a flaw, but of someone with a deeply powerful and perceptive mind. I mean, just think about this rare combination you've got going on. The perception to see what others miss, the emotional depth to really feel it, the analytical mind to predict patterns, and the memory to recall every detail perfectly. These aren't just separate quirks. They are an interconnected system that developed for a really good reason, often to help you survive. And this right here is the key takeaway. Your goal shouldn't be to try and shut this part of you down. The goal is to shift your entire perspective. It's not about stopping overthinking. It's about learning to understand and maybe even harness your gift for deep thinking. I really want you to let this sink in. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive or too much. You are a deep thinker. And your ability to notice things, to feel things, and to truly care, that is not a burden. It's an incredible strength. So the final question isn't about how to fix yourself, because there is absolutely nothing to fix. The question is, now that you understand this incredible analytical tool that is your mind, how are you going to choose to use it?